afternoon. Right? Thanks for joining us. Here, let me do that.
Do the volume.
No, it's not this.
I started before he was ready.
I'm always ready. Whether I'm ready or really ready, that's the question. Uh-huh. But, so the part where I'm got all my paints squeezed out, that part I hadn't done yet. So we're going to do that shortly.
That's going to be the fun part.
Well, it's not if you don't have the colors. But where are they? Let me figure out. Maybe I have it in my other paint stash. And I do. All right.
So today is a day to do the underpainting.
The underpainting is what we're doing today.
I like it.
All right. So again, right, as a little review, sorry for the little bit of redundancy, but just to remind those that have been watching us all along, or if you just joined us, what I did here is it's like a wash where I thin the paint with paint thinner, and it's basically like a value study, light and dark, right? And I just filled in the sketch with what I believe are where the dark should be, and all the way to where the lightest is going to be, and then everything in between those 2 points, right? So now I will judge whether or not I'm happy with what I've done, and if I am, then I will proceed to the next step, which is the underpainting, which is the paint is not thinned with a paint thinner anymore. In fact, I'm mixing my paints with liquid, all right, which accelerates the drying time, right? And I add enough of the liquid in my mix so that it dries at the correct rate that keeps up with my pace, my natural pace of working, right? I kind of work on the quick side, so I don't want to be waiting on the paint to be drying before I can proceed to the next step, or I don't want it to dry too soon that it hurries me up, right? So that's not good. So you have to find your own mix that's correct for you, and you can do that from experimentation, okay? And if you're gonna do that, I suggest you work on little canvases so that you don't waste a lot of paint just to find out that you're miscalculated stuff. Usually, it's best to experiment on small canvases. That way your feedback is quicker, and you can make your adjustments if it's not spot on the first time, and it didn't cost you a lot of paint, it didn't cost you a lot of time, and then you obviously you will remember what it is that's favorable for you, and then you apply that to bigger projects, right? So that's how that works. Okay, so I am pretty happy with the wash, the way it turned out, but even though the wash is, basically monochromatic, and it's because I just basically limited the use of the colors that I was going to use on this stage to the raw sienna predominantly, and then the darker ones I added indigo to my mix, okay? But the finished painting is not going to be monochromatic like this, all right? I will make use of the greens, right? The beach color here, and then even the ocean. It's not going to be golden like this. I'll use blues and greens, and my shadows on my surf will probably be on the purple side, okay, or lavender side, somewhere in that range. But you'll see what I mean as I'm working on it. All right, so I will start the underpainting, and as usual, I'm going to start with my darks, which are the rocks, okay. Remember, I'm going to mix it with liquid, so it will be it'll start to dry as soon as I mix it in there, but I'm not going to mix in a lot, so it's not going to be real quick. All right, but I will know that it is starting to dry, so I can come back to it later on and work on it some more and add medium lights and medium dark tones to it. And then it'll be nice and tacky because X amount of time would have gone by while I'm working on other areas. The paint is starting to set a little bit, right? And all of these things, when you apply it to your work, it's gonna take you working a lot, all right? And then you will gather all this information that your work is telling you, okay? And that's the best way, in my opinion, all right? Because really what matters about your work is how you work, right? Never mind the how-to that seems to address as if that's the only way, right? What you want to do is to bring out your best efforts, right? And whatever that may be, you want to find out what that is, because you may not even know what that is for yourself, right? So by experimenting with the things that I'm saying, try it out on little formats. If you want to ad lib on the things that I'm saying and add on to it or take away from it, feel free to do so. All right, don't feel very confined with the instructions and whatnot. I'm just explaining what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and then see if that fits you. All right, and if it doesn't fit you, make some alterations so it does fit you, right? And see how that goes, right? If it doesn't work out, you can always come back to the way I did it, right? And see how that works out. So again, everything is kind of loose as far as the attitude, but the reasoning, it should be sound, right? It should make sense. All right. Okay. Enough stalling.
No, but that was good.
Well, it's nice to explain why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think so. To have an understanding is very, very helpful, right? You can reason stuff out yourself. And as usual, we welcome commentary, questions, answers, whatever. And we have, I didn't introduce her, Ann Wood, our producer, director, and general manager, is running the show here.
Aloha,
so say hello to Ann Wood.
Setting up for our next shot. We're gonna mix some paint, right?
We're gonna mix some paint after I clean off my palette here a second.
So, how do you clean that? You use a scraper?
Just a razor blade, single edge razor blade, attached to a paint scraper, and that's about it. I'm working on a glass palette, so it's easy to clean, relatively easy to clean.
Now, I saw you just wipe that up with a little bit of your paint thinner.
The paint thinner, right?
Yeah. So do you dry it now before you start adding
no,
everything in?
No,
So
I mean, if I was going to use the palette for highlighting giclées, meaning I'm going to switch to acrylics, then yeah, I would want to dry it because I wouldn't want the solvent to mix with the acrylics, right? So it has to be really clean and really dry.
But it's okay if it mixes in with that.
Yeah, because it's all oil-based,
Okay.
right? It's all in the same family. Okay, so...
Do you want a fresh drink?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good, thank you. You know what? I need a fresh brush is what I need.
What? There's
Yeah.
like 1,000 of them on your table.
Okay, we need 1,001.
Jeez. I'm gonna do a quick spin with the camera so everyone can see the pile of brushes that you're going to right there. See that? Yeah. He has to pick one of those.
We're gonna go with a flat number 8. Don't worry about the number. Every company has their own numbering system. It's about a 1/4 inch across. All right.
All right.
So, but yeah, whatever gets it done, do that.
And we're gonna spin back around.
Now, the reason I'm doing that is because some of the brushes that I abuse, they kind of spread out, right? And so I can't get a tight stroke, and when the ends are all over the place.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see them. It's your scumbling pile.
I was
Pile of
wondering when you're going to bring that up.
Oh, I can bring it up in any conversation.
Yes, you can.
Anytime I can
All right.
find a
No,
way.
but it has to make sense when you do.
Oh, it could.
Okay, this is manganese violet. We want to do a little bit more of that. Okay, and some yellow ochre. Some more of that. And what else? I think that's it. Oh, maybe some cadmium yellow deep. Some cadmium yellow medium.
Oh, they're so different from one another.
Yep. All right. Let's go. You know what? Maybe I should. No, that's right. That's good.
Where are you gonna hit first?
The rocks. We're gonna do the rocks. Okay. So this is indigo, and I got some liquid mixed in there. So this is, very high chroma, very, very brilliant, very bright, dark blue, kind of purplish, right? So we don't want that, right? We don't want it too brilliant, so we gotta tone it down with some white. That brings the chroma down. So it's kind of grayish now. And then we can test that. Yeah, I like it. And we are basically these darks that I'm painting on here. It's the shadow parts, right? That part that's not getting hit by direct sunlight, right? So the parts that are getting hit by the sunlight is going to be warm, right? So our shadows are going to be cool. So that's how you manage your color temperatures, right? So it's either getting hit by the sun or it's not, right? Those are your two choices. So even though I'm covering up a lot of what I had worked on previously, that's okay, because I already have an idea of where I'm going with the plan, right? So I'm not going to get lost by covering it up. I'm going to leave a little bit of a spacer there just to separate the rock formations from each other. So right now, it's just like coloring in and filling in the area. All right, so it's flat, very flat looking. We're not going after anything other than covering the area. First things first, right? There's like an errant rock all by itself there. And maybe we'll do another one here. That wasn't part of the plan earlier, but hey, why not? We're here already. Okay. So, and by doing so, it also makes, you know, your composition not too clean and neat looking, right? It adds to how natural the place might look, right? That there are rocks here and there. As long as, you know, they make sense where they are, then you're good to go. Do the same thing here, and basically just leave a little separation.
And now we went from orange to blue.
Well, that way too, you can figure out where the earlier stages were and where the new developments are. Some violet to this, so it's still indigo, some white, and some manganese violet. And the manganese violet is from Gamblin. It's this guy right here. Okay.
Oh wait, go back 1 second. Show it a little longer.
Gamblin is the brand
Gamblin, okay.
of the manganese violet. All right.
Stay tuned, my wife. Hotel Poolside.
Oh, okay. Or Hotel Poolside. Yep. It makes you want to dance like you're in the 60s video. Is that from the 60s? Is that right? 70s? Something very retro.
Well, 70s is disco, yeah.
What's retro? 60s?
Retro is just going back.
Oh, back in time to the 80s. That's very retro of you. Softer because pick up the words or might get booted. So what does underpainting mean? You're starting to lay down paint, not the wash anymore. You're serious,
opaque.
Actually.
It's opaque
Okay.
paint. And some people refer to the wash as the underpainting.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, basically you call it whatever you want, but as long as you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, who cares? All right, but this opaque layer is what you're going to build on. And again, with all the different styles of painting, you know, for some, this is just fine. You know, there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just everybody does things differently. I'm explaining my way.
I found it interesting how Gary Reed painted.
How?
Like in strips from left to right, he would paint. So everything would just start in the top left corner and move over, and then he would go back and move over like a typewriter.
Oh.
It was really interesting. And then some paintings he didn't do like that. So but because I remember seeing one of his last couple ones, they were different. They weren't that way. Maybe he found a faster way to paint.
I think he was watching me paint.
He's like, I can do more quicker.
I'm like, that's a good idea.
I'm gonna channel Tabora.
He's one of the first guys that I met, when I
Oh, that's
was
cool.
starting to be more into the professional scene, because we would do shows in like a department store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because they would have like an art feature thing, and we would have our displays in there for, let's say, a weekend. And he was great, very, very supportive, very encouraging.
Nice.
Yeah. Just the class act all the way.
So when eventually you will not paint your mole stick, eventually you will lighten that up with just lighter shades of that same color to put texture on the rock. Is that how?
No, I'm basically painting the shadows, the parts of this grouping that's not getting hit by the sunlight directly, right? So it'll be lit by bouncing light. Okay, and then the parts that are going to get hit directly, well, those are where the highlights are.
Right. Okay.
And now, this part here is the reflection of the sun. Okay, so it's creating a glare. Okay, and so things that are close to that will, be glared out, right? And just imagine, somebody shining a flashlight in your face. All right, so you're blinded by the light, and the thing that's also happening is you cannot see and appreciate the fingers or the hand, because the glare is preventing you from focusing on the hand. So basically this part of the rock right here is gonna get glared out. You ought to not be able to see the details of that. That's kind of like the hand and the fingers, and this is the flashlight.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I explain it that way, most people can understand that explanation, but that's the effect that we're gonna go for, okay? So if you're tempted to put details on this part of the rock that's closest to that light reflection, you are diminishing the effect. So resist, don't do that, right? You can put the details away from the light here, but as you get closer to the light, then the details vanish, all right? And that helps the effect, okay? So I'm getting closer to it. As I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna warm it up, all right? and I'm gonna kind of lighten it up, all right? Because this is still a high chroma dark, right? So you want to lower the chroma, and if you guys are ahead of me, you want to lower this chroma because this is going to be high chroma. This is going to be very bright, and what you don't want to do to get the full effect of this guy here being bright, the reflection, is you don't put anything next to it that is also bright. You have to surround it with things that are not bright so that the brightness of it is not diminished. So we have our first opportunity to do that with this end of the rock. Okay, so I'm going to go from this color. I'm going to go warmer. Okay, so that means, you know, red, oranges, yellows is where I'm going to switch to. So we're switching the hue, all right, which is the color, and
oh, not a boyfriend. We're not switching a boyfriend named Hugh.
no. And so the hue is going to shift.
History.
And then you're also going to shift the temperature to a warmer, right? But that comes with those hues, right? The reds, oranges, and the yellows. But you're also going to lighten the value, so it's not so dark, all right? And that should help you with the effect of the glare. Okay?
All right.
That's the plan. All right, so we're gonna add some white to it, a little bit of white, and then some red, which kind of yields you, you know, I'm putting it into the mix, yeah? So it's turning a little bit purple, and it's lightening it up a little bit, okay? And in the camera, that may still look dark, but we're doing it gradually. Okay, and we're just gonna keep going, starting to lighten it up even more.
On the palette, you can definitely see the different shade.
Yeah, the red.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still dark, yeah?
Yeah.
It's still dark, so that value part of it is shifted just a little bit. It's lighter than the rest, okay? Which is good because, and you don't want to spread it, you know, too far. You know, you want to contain it with in close proximity to the actual brightness that's glaring it out. Okay.
While I was visiting the Marriott,
Uh-huh.
some of the security guards stopped in and they told me they watch you on Facebook Live.
Do they?
Yeah, it's so cool.
Is that me?
That's you.
Check it in case that's my shipping company.
Hello? Hello? Yes.
Okay. So we've got a little bit of a glow thing going on this rock. All right. And notice it ends right about there, right? You don't want to spread it too far because that also will diminish the effect, right? It has to be very, very close to where the glare is coming from, okay? So now what I will do is I will, you know what? I'll do the same thing to this, the rocks here on the right. So while I'm doing that, all those darks that I put here, I will then, it's giving this grouping a chance to dry up a little bit more. And then after I do the darks here, then I'll switch back here and start adding some detail, okay? That's the plan. And first, we get rid of all this paint here. Okay. And what did we have? We had indigo, right? We had indigo. We had a little bit of wine in there, just to bring the chroma down. Okay. That may be a little too high still. Okay, that's better. Okay, so we're not too concerned about a whole lot of things except for getting our darks in there.
Great.
Is it what you thought?
Yep.
Okay.
Picking her up.
All right.
How's your power on this one? On your phone?
On my phone, it's
High,
100.
low? Oh, can I steal your charger?
Sure.
Thank you. Drop something. That's how it goes.
Come on, Leland. You're doing a Leland. Okay, more darks. A little bit of a spacer just to separate it. I really don't need the spacer, but for you guys, I'm doing it because that might help you. And it doesn't really do you any harm to do it. So whatever helps, yeah, that's what you want. If you don't need it, you don't need to do it, okay? And since this one here, the rocks here are going from right to left as opposed to this from left to right, and it's headed towards this, I'm just gonna go ahead and warm it up a little bit, even though it's not, you know, that close for it to be affected like the glare here. It helps to convey the warmth of this area here, okay? It's not gonna be drastic like this guy here because this one's right next to the glare. But at some point I will switch to a more reddish dark, okay? but it's not gonna be drastic. And I'm gonna kind of lighten it a little bit as well, because there's light bouncing off of the water here. All right, it's not direct like this guy here, but it is there, right? And so you don't want the rocks to end up as abruptly with this color, because this guy here, this end of the rock is far away from all of the light bouncing off of the water here. So it's not going to be affected the same way as this end will be, okay? And remember, this guy here is further back away from here. It's not on the same plane. So this guy here needs to be grayed out, but we'll get to it after I finish this. In the meantime, I'm warning you guys that I'm going to make a switch. Okay, I'm going to lighten it a little bit because it's getting a little bit of the glare, not like this intense one here, but somewhat from the light bouncing off of the water that's near this end, okay? All right. So let's switch to a more reddish. It's not noticeable yet, so don't freak out. Because I kind of want to do it gradually. Okay.
We got Linda's watching while she's taking her evening walk, and
what?
Ron is on.
Hey Linda. Hey Ron.
We got a new watcher named Wanda.
Wanda.
She said we're fun and entertaining.
Oh, well that's good. She meant that in a nice way, right? Okay.
Oh no, she didn't say we're relaxed. She's relaxed.
Oh, okay.
Relaxing and fun to watch.
Oh, okay.
I'm not entertaining. We're just fun to watch. We'll take
But
it.
that is entertaining.
That is true. That is true.
Okay, so I switched to a the value is a little bit lighter, right? May not be very noticeable. And that is one way that you can monitor what you're doing. That if it's getting lighter drastically, then that's probably too much, right? Because you want it to be gradual, right? So that the light is kind of creeping up on it, yeah. So I'm gonna blend it, with whatever colors on my brush. I'm blending it all the way to the right. But now this guy here is not as red as here, but this one actually, instead of red, I'll call it purple. Okay. And you don't want it too light because you still want to keep the value on the dark side. Yeah. This is one of those times where you want to stay on the dark side.
Isn't that a song?
No, that's a Star Wars reference. That's a Darth Vader thing. Okay, so now it's a little bit more red. Okay, and I'm gonna spread the redness towards the right side a little bit more.
Oh, Teresa's on.
Mrs. Alcayaga's on?
She is.
Hey, T!
She's a pirate.
Yeah, you know what? That's an awesome outfit.
Right?
Right, but you gotta be careful that when you have that outfit, whatever you do, you don't want to go shopping and be caught pushing a shopping cart when you're in that outfit. Okay, it doesn't read well. Just don't do it. Resist.
You can only be a pirate at the pirate place.
Can't be that in a supermarket.
She should actually bring that outfit with her and go on a pirate cruise on the pirate ship here in Hawaii.
We have a pirate ship?
We do. It was used for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh.
And they do cruises, out like Waikiki Way, and they encourage you to dress up like a pirate.
Uh-huh.
So she's perfect.
Uh-huh. You heard that, T?
Yeah, you can schedule that when you come.
Okay, so it's getting lighter. It's more on the reddish purple side. And remember, it's not going to be as drastic as this, so don't go nuts. And also, if you don't, make that shift spot on at this point, don't worry about it because you can make an adjustment later on. When you got more of the elements put in. Just remember the painting process is just a series of adjustments. Okay. If you get it close to spot on every time you're addressing an area, you're gonna make few adjustments. If you're off, then you're going to make a bit more adjustments. But the fact that you can make the adjustment to correct it should make you feel good. Mm-hmm. That even in the face of however many mistakes you make, it's not only salvageable, all right, but you're going to get what you ultimately want, but you're going to get in the way of a really awesome learning experience of all the things because of the mistakes you made along the way. Those are invaluable, even though nobody wants to make them, but you're going to make them, right? There's no way that you're going to do this without any mistakes. So get that out of your head, right? The main thing is pay attention because the mistakes is where you're learning, okay? When you get it right, you're celebrating. So you're not really learning. You're too jubilant to be learning anything. But when you make a mistake, you're going, okay, I made a mistake. Okay, I got to not do that again. What did I do wrong? How can I avoid? Well, as soon as you start thinking that way, you're learning. You're really learning, and you're advancing your skill set at that point, right? So all of that is good. You want that.
CR just joined in the session.
CR! We waited as long as we could.
Okay.
So, here we are.
Rory, you have some guests in the studio.
Do I?
They're leaving?
Who's leaving?
Yeah, we're going to the ranch.
Oh, okay.
The horse farm?
Horse farm. Horse farm.
I couldn't think of the word ranch. It doesn't look like a ranch. It looks like a horse farm. Are you going riding?
Yeah.
Be safe.
Oh, I'm so
have
jealous.
fun.
Have fun.
Not me, just friends.
Nice.
Huh.
She rides every Tuesday.
Nice. Awesome.
Tell me all about it. Okay, so now we're gonna do this rock right here. Okay, that's further back. So we're gonna gray it out a little bit. It's not gonna be as high chroma as this, but it's still gonna be on the dark side of it because it's a rock of the same type, right? So we'll do that. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of change in the value, but from my mix on my table, I can tell that there is a change, right? And so that is another good way that you can tell if your color mixes make sense because you can compare it to the other mixes that you have because it's right next to it, right?
Yep. So there I see 3 colors, right?
Yes. The untrained eye will see 3 colors.
I quit.
I'm surprised it took you this long. I would have quit like yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
No, because so that I'm saying it that way, not only to
Because it's true.
well, no, it's true that people realize that your perception will change over time. Mm-hmm. You know because what Ann is saying is not wrong. The first thing that you'll see is that there's 3 of them, right? But what's really going on as you work more and your perception gets sharper, and you're going to be able to distinguish between little differences a lot better than when you first started. So you can expect that, right? You're just going to see things that you didn't normally see in the past, and that's good, right? That's good. But since Anne is not a painter, obviously she's gonna kind of stay within that neighborhood. That's not where her expertise lies, which is good, because that's where mine lies, and I don't want anybody else doing it. I want me to be doing it.
Yes, we wouldn't want me to take over that position.
No, we don't.
But even from the camera and then looking at your colors in person, they look different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now having done this, I'm looking at it and I'm going, man, I think I want to add a little bit more to this rock right here.
Oh, make it bigger or more
Well,
rock?
it's like I have this grouping here, right? And this can happen, but I think it'll be more interesting if I add another one here.
Is this this scene in general based on any particular mountain range in Hawaii?
Well, I play off of Nepali Coast in Kauai a lot. I don't try to depict it accurately unless I'm doing a commission for somebody that that requires that it has a degree of accuracy that the collector wants, right?
Are their mountains a little different than everywhere else?
Well, there's several ways that the mountains are formed, but all the ones in Hawaii are volcanic, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then with years of erosion, only the hard parts of the rocks remain. All the soft ones get eroded away, and they form that's why they're very similar. When the ko'olaus. On Oahu are similar to the shape of the ones in Kauai. Let's do another one here.
See, you can change it while you're moving.
Yeah,
on.
yeah, absolutely. That's the point. So don't think that you didn't do it in the beginning, so all is lost. No, it's not. Okay, I like that a lot better. Okay, it gets a little closer to this grouping. It doesn't look so isolated. Mm-hmm. All right, so now I got the darks in there. What I will do is I will do the details on here. All right, and we will start with the areas that are backlit, that becomes visible because of the bouncing light, right? And then the part that we're going to do last will be the part that gets hit by the sunlight directly. All right, so everything is a setup for that moment when we finally put paint the parts of the rocks that are getting direct hit from the sun. Everything else is things that lead up to that. Okay?
Cindy Birchfield's on.
Cindy, welcome. You found us. You found us last time, I know, but.
She's back.
All right. You can see this, right, Ann?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, as long as you kind of stay off on the side a tiny bit. As long as you're out of the picture. Get out of my shot.
When it's great when you're out of the picture. That's a wonderful singing voice you have. You should be a wrestler. You have the singing voice of a wrestler. All right. Hey, nothing against wrestlers. And for the backlit part, I'm gonna stay with these same colors, but I'm gonna favor the violet a little bit. I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit more because I'm figuring I'm going to pick up some of the color that I put on here because it's not completely dry. And I got a little bit of cobalt blue in there because take the redness edge off of that a little bit. Okay, let's see, this looks like it may be a little too light, but we'll see. Oh, not bad. All right, so the stroke that I'm putting on here, I can tell that I am picking up a little bit of the colors that I've put on here because my brush is getting dirtied up by this dark color. So so the level of dryness is perfect. Okay, we'll continue on to the next one here. Okay, a reminder, we're painting the parts of the rocks that are not getting hit by the direct sunlight. Okay. So these are still the shadowed areas, right? But we don't want to leave it flat because obviously that's not interesting. And people know instinctively that they're not flat, so you don't want to do that. They can read flat in the grand scheme of things, but in reality, everybody knows they're not flat. So try to avoid going with flat. That's not going to be favorable. And you don't want to ever have to explain your painting all the time when you're on the defensive, trying to explain the painting. That's no fun.
Okay.
Okay. Keep going, keep going. And for this last outcropping of rocks, I'm kind of graying out the top part a little bit over here just to push it back away from the plains. It's like, imagine if the three rocks groupings are planes, right? This one being closest, this one in the middle, and this one the furthest away. So that top edge, I want to push it back further, and you do that by kind of graying it out, because the gray is a lower chroma, which will not make it want to stand out, right? So you can use that to your advantage, obviously, and you should. Do that here as well. It's basically that whole top section is grayed out.
And I know it is hard to see it on.
Well, you know what? When the
There we
rest
go.
of it, that's why I'm explaining it to,
Yeah.
because visually you're not always gonna catch it because it is subtle, and so the fact that you can't make it out is testimonial to the fact that it is subtle, and but being here, I can see it. But if I work it a little bit more, you might be able to.
I think this is one of my favorite parts of watching you paint is when your brush
Uh,
twiddles about.
twiddles about.
It just goes. It like twiddles in your finger here and there and everywhere, and it skips spots and goes, and
Yeah,
it's
well-
just fun. Like it's having a little dance on the canvas.
Well, it kind of is having a little dance. You're absolutely right about that. So because you're not just applying the paint, of course you're doing that when you're painting, but you are being aware of the paint that's on your brush that you're using up, right? And so and you're aware of the part of the brush where the paint is not being used up, and so you want to be able to use everything. So you might have to spin the brush in order to get the effect that you want, right? So that's good observation.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Doesn't happen often.
No, not around the horse farm.
Where I'm from,
We're
it's
gonna-
called a horse farm. We don't
There
have
is no
ranches.
such thing.
We don't have ranches in the Midwest. We have horse farms.
Horse.
It's a horse farm. Place you can go and pet horses. We
As
grow
opposed to
them.
the place where you get your salad dressing.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, so for those of you that are new to tuning in with us, it's this thing that we do is not really a tutorial as tutorials go. What we're doing is we're sharing the way that I work and explain why we're doing what we're doing. And then the atmosphere, we're not changing it to present something. This is just going to be true to life, as candid as we can present it to you. So, what you're seeing when we do this is how things are when we're not filming.
And then
Alright?
later he makes an employee report on me.
Well, that part.
That girl, I'm
Okay.
telling you.
Uh-huh.
I love watching the brush, so he just kind of do.
Yeah, I make that noise in my head.
It helps.
Well, it helps you to make it out loud, but okay, that looks good. Again, we're just doing the parts of the rocks that are getting hit by bouncing light, not direct sunlight, but we will do that shortly.
And I forgot, why is there a glare against, like you can see the reflection against your painting when you're painting on it?
Oh, because it's shiny.
The paint is shiny.
Yeah.
And we've done no varnish, as in me. We've done no varnish, haven't we?
No, none of us have.
I have not assisted you with varnishing, ever.
No.
So oil paint is shiny when it's wet, but not when it's dry, right?
Correct. In fact, it gets dull when it's drying. And that's why you use the retouch varnish, is to bring it back to shiny, meaning bring it back to fresh. So and then you can tell what color it is. Because when it's dull, you really don't know. It's too dull to appreciate. Okay. So while that guy is drying, what we'll do is we'll do this. Okay. Because this guy has had a chance to kind of dry up as well, right? Can you focus on this guy? Is that angle okay?
Yeah, this one I'm going to adjust. I got the other angle too, but I
Okay.
like a little bit of close-up, like from a...
Okay.
Sometimes you can see it a little differently with the light.
Okay. And okay, so we're starting to do that. Just a reminder, everybody, if you got any questions, comments, feel free to ask away, and we will do our best to answer. Maybe that'll help you. So when I'm doing the back lighting, as it were, to illuminate the texture of the rocks, I'm varying the strokes. Yeah, so some strokes are small, some are medium, some are large, but not too large, because that really doesn't happen a lot. So keep the strokes closer to the small side. Same here. And remember, this top edge is further back, yeah? So you want to gray that guy out. That will, that'll serve you well. In fact, let's kind of gray that whole thing out away from this formation here. Just because we can, and it's a better effect, I think. You know, so it's further back. Same with this guy here. Oops. next. Okay, let's do some of the direct light hitting the rocks. But I'm going to switch to a different brush so that I can get smaller strokes along with the big strokes. Okay.
Okay.
For that, we will use this little guy here. It's number 2 round. We're gonna go in the old mix. So it's a little bit on the purple, so I'm using more of the violet. And I don't know if you can tell, it's lighter in value, and it's a little bit higher in chroma, because it's getting hit by sunlight. This is not the final brightness that I'm going to do for the rock. I'm just setting it up for that. Hey, you know what, Ann? One of the things we should do is we should get that guy scanned, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I can take it.
Okay, yeah. Let me just see if it's dry enough.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because it's a route I take. I mean, I can take.
Oh, okay. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's not out of the way.
All right, thanks.
We took the long way coming,
Uh-huh.
just to get the nice scenic route
Sure.
in, but you know, you can jump right back on the highway.
Right. That way we can get the rest of the
Yeah.
project going. keep going.
Oh yeah, that's a huge difference. Huge crime
Why didn't we think of this sooner?
because it blocked you in.
Uh.
But it definitely
I can escape, I think.
You guys will like the camera change.
Okay.
Oh, there. That's what he's been doing all along.
So again, I'm imagining the shape of the rocks. If you have references, use them, okay? And get an idea of the different shapes of rocks that you could use. So right now, I'm just making this up. All right, some of them are long strokes, some of them are short strokes. But they are all the parts that's getting hit by the sunlight. All the dark parts I leave behind, that's what we put in there earlier, or primarily, right? So that those areas become the shadow, right? So needless to say, you don't want to cover those guys up, right? Not all of them anyway, because you need those. You need the parts that's getting hit directly. You need the parts that's not getting hit at all. And then you want the parts that's getting hit by the bouncing light. Okay.
a little higher.
Do it?
Yeah.
We can do this part right here too.
Linda likes the definition on your rocks.
Oh, okay, good.
Um,
Thank you.
Let's see. I think Shell Triplet didn't hear about the spot that inspires your scenery.
Kauai?
Yeah, that's
Nepali coast? Nepali coast on the north shore of Kauai?
And your other friend is on Gobind?
Govin.
Gobin's on?
Hi, Govin.
Are they lava rocks?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
So they will cut you if you walk on it. Be careful.
Yeah. And if you don't wait long enough, you'll sink right into them.
Melt away.
You get your rubber slipper stuck in that thing. It's over.
Oh.
Yeah, and you guys remember, as we're getting closer to the glare part, you don't want to add a lot of details, right? So that'll enhance the glared out effect.
It's kind of cool because you can see the glare on camera. The
Really?
angle, the angle that this camera is on makes everything really bright. So it looks like a watercolor, the oranges. But then when I flash to the main camera, it goes back to its more natural color. But it's cool because it looks like something's blinding me right in this photo on camera. It's like blinding me right on the rock. It's awesome how you can see
Well,
it.
that's you're going for those effects, right? So you kind of have to understand how those things work, and then you just duplicate it.
I had a kid yesterday in the Holly Eva gallery. He had a really cool question. he only has heard of the big waves in Hawaii, so he's never seen them. But he wondered if your waves are like the 50-foot, 100-foot, 75-foot when you're making these waves. How big are those crashing waves?
Not big. They're not big. They're, I don't know.
Like a normal rolling wave?
Yeah, 2 feet, maybe.
The regular size.
Well,
but they looked big to him, so he's
sure.
like, are those...
Well, if you've never seen them,
right.
You got no point of reference.
Yeah, and it's too bad. I mean, he's looking for some big waves, and I'm like, well, it's South Shore, but it's not like this.
You can Google that.
Yeah,
as
that
to
is true.
when the big waves come.
That is true.
Okay. So now it's this is not done all the way that it should be, but before I do that, let's work on this guy here. So before it dries. Okay. Again, more details. Trying to gray out the top edge so it's pushed back, and so that it will enhance the part that's up close, to read more up close by pushing this guy back. Yeah, some of this is very subtle. It is hard to make out sometimes, but when the rest of it comes together, it should be easier to read. For one thing, there's still a lot of glare from the canvas. Yeah, it's coming through from the wash. When the rest of it is put in, you notice how much of a change it'll affect the ones that are on here already, and then you'll get to appreciate it a little bit more. I added a little bit of raw sienna to it, a little bit, just to yellow it up a little bit. Very subtle. You don't want those big major changes on here just yet. You want to reserve that for your bright highlights, so you don't want to dilute the effect of that later by having it everywhere.
Oh, wherever Gobin lives, do you know where she lives?
Mm-mm.
She said the
California,
rocks,
right?
Maybe the rocks are sandstone, so she has to use different colors
That's fine.
than lava.
That's fine. Well, that's the beauty of it, is that, you know, whatever it is that is what makes sense to you, the principles behind it's the same, right? Parts of it's gonna get hit by direct sunlight, parts of it is not at all, and then parts of it is gonna be illuminated by the bouncing light. Okay, that's good enough right there, I think.
We're right at the 1.5 mark.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, folks, and I think after the break I will do the sand part right here.
Awesome.
Okay, and then that will tie it into the rocks. It'll be great.
All right.
It'll be a good time.
See you shortly.
See you later.